Ever pour your heart and soul, and like maybe literally your blood and sweat too, into a project, only to get slammed with payment problems?
Yeah, that's like the worst case scenario, right? You deliver everything right on time, and then suddenly you're in this back and forth trying to get what you're owed.
What if I told you there's something, a document, that can almost magically make those situations disappear?
You're going to say the daywork sheet, aren't you?
Bingo. We're diving into daywork sheets today, how to use them, how to make them work for you.
It's something every subcontractor should be on top of.
Totally.
Yeah.
And to help us out, we're looking at this great article just came out last week on LinkedIn by Owen Hager, Tips for Construction Contractors, Handling Daywork Sheets Effectively.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. It's really practical, which I like. He gets that a day worksheet is like your daily work diary, right? What you did, when, what materials you used, basic stuff.
But doesn't it seem almost too simple? I'm imagining like notes scribbled on a napkin. That's not going to hold up if things go south.
No way. And that's what's great about Owen's tips. He gives you all these ways to take that simple sheet and make it like bulletproof.
So it's about more than just like checking a box.
Yeah.
It's got to be detailed, accurate.
But especially when you're dealing with the QS.
Right, the QS. Can we explain that real quick? What exactly does a quantity surveyor DO?
Think of them as the ones watching the money, making sure everything stays on budget. They're the ones approving payments, looking for any places where costs might go over.
Ah, so they hold the keys to the castle, so to speak.
Kind of, but they need good info from subcontractors, right? That's where your day worksheet comes in. It's how you prove your work, show what you're doing.
So it's a partnership then. You keep good records, they keep the project on track.
Exactly. And Owen has a whole section about making sure your day worksheets are top-notch. He calls it sweat the small stuff, the must-have details.
Okay, I like that. So give us an example. What kind of small stuff are we talking? Okay, small stuff, big impact. What's the example?
So say you're doing a bathroom remodel, right? You rip out this old shower stall, got to put in all new piping.
Getting messy.
Yeah, and you're documenting it all. Good subcontractor that you are. But here's where those details come in. Instead of just installed pipes, you get specific. What kind? We talking copper, Petex, the size of them? How many feet did you actually use?
I honestly wouldn't have thought about that. I'd just be like, plumbing happened.
Right, but then what happens if there's like a question about the materials later? Price dispute? Even just needing to order more for the next job, having those specifics is huge.
It's like I could say I went to Italy, or I could tell you about every single gelato flavor I tried. Details.
Exactly. Owen actually even talks about listing the screws you use, type, quantity, all that.
Screws? Really?
Yeah.
Seems a bit much, doesn't it?
Might seem that way, but think back to the QS, right? They need that breakdown. Shows you're on top of it.
So it's not just like protecting yourself, it's building that trust too.
100%. And speaking of protecting yourself, that takes us to Owen's next tip, which is all about proof. The power of a signature, get it in writing daily.
Ugh, yes. The John Hancock. Back in my school days, it was all about forging those permission slips. Though, I guess these signatures are a tad more serious.
A tad. This is what makes your word, your record, legally binding. Anyone can jot something down, but that signature from, the supervisor, the client, whoever, that's what matters.
I swear I've heard horror stories about this where people didn't get signatures, and then it's like their word against the clients when something goes wrong.
All the time, yeah. And that's why Owen's so big on this daily or at least weekly signature thing. No room for argument later.
So no shame in asking for it, basically.
None at all. And if they push back, just remind them it's good for everyone, keeps things above board.
Okay, so we've got details, signatures. What other daywork sheet wisdom does Owen have up his sleeve? Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. It's like we're building a super detailed, legally sound daywork sheet right before our eyes.
Absolutely. And a good daywork sheet can really strengthen that relationship with the QS too. As Owen says, think of them as your new best friend.
Because even in construction, communication is key, right?
Exactly. I mean, imagine this. You're on a roll, hitting deadlines, everyone's happy, then bam, a materials shipment gets delayed, throws everything off.
Stressful.
The worst. But that's where, again, your daywork shit comes in. You're documenting that delay, the date, the reason, how it impacts your schedule, so the QS knows what's going on.
Makes sense. So instead of them freaking out about the budget or the timeline, they're in the loop from the start.
Exactly. Prevents a lot of headaches for everyone.
I bet. Speaking of preventing headaches, didn't Owen have a tip about organization? That's always a struggle for me.
Oh, yeah. Organization is king, or queen, he calls it. A place for everything and everything in its place.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Right. But he suggests, like, a dedicated folder labeled by project, that kind of thing.
Okay, that's doable. Whether it's
Yeah.
a physical folder or like a super organized system on my computer, at least it'll be somewhere.
Right. Can't hurt. And then this next one made me laugh because I think we're all guilty of this sometimes. Owen says, speak like a human, even to the QS.
So no more construction jargon.
Pretty much. Like instead of saying, we installed 500 meters of MEP services.
Which I'm not even totally sure what that means.
Right. You'd say like, we installed 500 meters of mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. Clear, simple.
Got it. Simple is good, especially when it comes to this next tip of Owen's. Time is money, track it, like a hawk. I mean, time really is money, in this business especially.
No doubt. And it's easy to lose track, especially when you're juggling multiple things. Owen suggests checking out some of those time tracking apps. Some of them even integrate directly with daywork sheets now, which is pretty cool.
Oh, very cool. All right. What else we got? I feel like we're getting to the end here.
Well, almost. This next one is short but important, and it's something, honestly, that I have to remind myself of all the time. Owen calls it, check yourself before you wreck yourself financially.
Because it's so easy to, like, fire off an email without attaching the document or sending it to the wrong person, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And with daywork sheets, those mistakes can be costly. Missed a decimal point on an invoice, suddenly you're asking for way more than you meant to.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Right. So take that extra minute to review everything. Double check your math, all
I
that.
have to twice, submit once. I like it.
Exactly. And then finally, this last one kind of brings it all home. Communication is key. No, really. It is.
Because even the best day worksheet in the world can't do all the work on its own, right?
Exactly. You got to be proactive. Keep the QS in the loop. Let them know what's happening, any potential roadblocks.
So to sum it up, Owen's basically given us the blueprint for success as a subcontractor, it sounds like.
He really has. It's all about protecting yourself, getting paid what you're owed, and making sure those projects run smoothly.
And who doesn't want that, right? Thanks for breaking it all down with us today.
My pleasure.
All right, listeners, that's it for this deep dive. Hopefully you're feeling empowered to go out there and conquer the world of day worksheets. We'll catch you next time.